I think I'm the oldest guy to start to judge Louisville for the first time since Woody. So I'm in sacred company. We have a really big, impressive horned ram to start the class. He's a pretty big framed ram. He's got a good enough fleece to him. Where he beats the ram in second is he's just wider in his top and wider in his pin set. We'd sure like to clean up the wool in his face, and he's got some yellow in his fleece, but that's environment probably, so we'll leave him there. The buck in second we like quite a bit. He's got a good head. He's a nice straight ram. Beautiful fleece on him. He's surely finer than the ram that wins the class. He just needs more horsepower and more gas today. Thank you.
Over here in the Romney ring, two nice rams out here, and they're definitely different in their type and kind. We've got a buck up here we're going to start with. He's the sounder of the two sheep today. Jet level down his top, one that comes back and gets progressively wider in terms of his hip, and then you get into the fleece. Certainly a beautiful fleece on him. You love the lock formation, the uniformity in terms of character, and one when we just analyze these on the move, he's the sounder of the two sheep out here. Love the outline of the buck in second. He's extremely long. He's elegant up to the front third, and boy, I made a move again because you get off to the side of this one, and I kind of wanted to use him. With that being said, we need to change him about his hocks today, the way he moves about the ring, to go ahead and use this ram, but I think one with a really nice fleece, a really cool look off to the side.
We get in the senior buck class here, and I think two bucks that there's some decisions to be made for sure here. Either we get back and we study the buck that wins the class. We just really like his width and his dimension out through that back third of his skeleton. He's a sheep that comes at you, and you really like his pin set and his width and the dimension in that aspect. A buck that gets and covers that step as well as we have of the pair in my mind, and I think that's really where the quick sort comes in my mind. I think we like the buck in second as far as his fleece quality and what he presents us when we get into that and we take a look at it. We put him into motion. He's too free in his hocks. He's too outside of his skeletal width at this stage of the game for me to use him to win this class. But an interesting pair. Congratulations.
Placing on the Rambouillet Yearling Ram class, first place goes to entry number 1, M. Geyser 2098, Joshua Wilson, Mount Ulla, North Carolina. Second place to entry number 2, Inbody 2125, Inbody Brothers Rambouillets, Genera, Ohio. Placing on the class of senior Ram Lambs for the White Lincoln Show, first to entry number 3, Lean 2184, Barry Hooker, Bloomington, Illinois. Second place to entry 2, Reed 2139, Robert Sando, Arcanum, Ohio. Placing on the White Romney class of Fall Ram Lambs, first to entry 3, Amy 21190, Amy Mendenhall, Loma Rica, California. Second place to entry 2, Rinker 2610, Claire Von Barons, Stewardson, Illinois.
Good class of fall rams here, actually really two good bucks. The buck in front that we use to win is really a thick-made, big top buck with a lot of bone. Like their yearling would like to clean the wool up on his face, but there's just a lot of buck there. The buck in second is really good in his own right. He's really fine. Has a beautiful fleece. Nice open head. Hair coat's a little coarse about his head. Something I don't like about him, but he's a good buck. He just needs some more days. Thank you.
Placing on the class of Rambouillet Senior Ram Lambs, first place to entry 5, Lazy 5, 8226, Joshua Wilson, Mount Ulla, North Carolina. Second place to InBody F2161, InBody Brothers Rambouillets, Genera, Ohio.
Over here, when we get into this class, White Romney's by far the most competitive class we've had, and I really appreciate getting to analyze through these. And that being said, the most complete one runs to the top of this class pretty easy for me. One that's dead level down his spine. He's great in terms of his skeleton. Love the extension. Love the balance from the side. One that's better in its chest floor compared to its rear flank. One that moves about the ring free and easy. Stays wide, puts his feet down where he needs to. Then you get into his fleece. Certainly uniform enough. Maybe it's not the most in terms of coarseness for me out here today. I think it does fit the grade. I'd like to see it just a notch coarser if we're going to be particular. With that being said, fits the bill, it's uniform, he's going to start the class. Then we come to the young ladies here in second. One that's built a lot like our class winner out here in terms of levelness of spine. He's the better one through his shoulder between the next few rams out here, and that's really what rides him up. I like the way he lays his blades into his spine. When you get up over top of him, he's really wide down that top, and he's got a beautiful fleece on him. I really like the fiber diameter. I like the correctness in terms of his grade as you go through it. Just a really nice kind of ram. Maybe not quite as good through the front third of his skeleton compared to the class winner, one that maybe doesn't motor around the ring quite as well as the class winner. But that being said, he definitely has the advantage in terms of movement compared to the buck in 3, and that was kind of the sort when you get between these. This buck's a notch coarser in terms of his shoulder blade when you put your hands on him and you set him into motion. He wants to get a little looser constructed for me today. But that being said, that is definitely the robust ram out here. Love the rib shape, love the top shape in this sheep. He's certainly the longest in terms of percentage of hind saddle, and he's got a beautiful fleece. It's a little give and take out here. This is the way I'm opting to line them up in this particular class. Then we come to a ram here in 4. Again, a really good profiling ram off to the side. You like the bone work underneath this sheep. You like a lot of things about him. With that being said, we need to change him there in terms of his shoulder. We get behind there. He's just opening it up way too much for me to go ahead and move any higher. Round out the class, extremely stylish type of a sheep. I love the silhouette off the side. I like the extension. One that's good about his footwork and bone work. One that when we handle him, I'd like to just make him a notch sounder. I'd like to change him about his fleece as we get down low. But I think a really good class of ram lambs. Let's go ahead and give him a round of applause.
Getting this buck lamb class here in 4 sheep out here that bring us some differences for sure. A little bit of mix and match. The buck that starts the class, I think when you put all the pieces together, he's a sheep that has the body shape that I like. He's a sheep that you get in and you handle. He's uniform from front to rear. We get out and we watch them move again, and he's the buck that goes ahead and covers his width and his structure as well as anything in the class. A sheep that's just really attractive. He's done well to this stage. Love that rib shape and just that overall cavity in that middle part of his body. A sheep that just has that masculine head on him. I think that's a nice spot to land. Really intriguing buck in second. I mean, this buck, when you get into his fleece, you just absolutely love the look and the formation to this fleece. One that is super duper attractive. I like that about him quite a bit. We get him out here and stack in this class and against the age group that he belongs in, and maybe we'd like to see more rib shape. We'd like to see more body, and we'd just like to see a little more of this sheep. A little later maturing maybe, but I think for today, second's logical for him. I think the 3 and 4 spot for me is the tougher decision. The 3 buck, I really like him as far as we get into his fleece. We get back and study him. We just like to level this sheep out from front to rear a little more on the top side of his skeleton. We get him into motion, and we really get restricted on those rear 2. And then we round out the class with a buck that, again, a buck that's attractive enough front to rear on his fleece for me today. But when we get back and study him, he just doesn't have enough shape to that back third of his rib shape, and just isn't deep enough, and just doesn't present us with enough body and overall power through that middle part of his cage. But really nice class. Congratulations.
Placing on the Romney White Spring Ram Lamb class, first place to entry 6, Rinker 2622, Claire Von Barron, Stewardson, Illinois. Second place to entry number 4, Higgins 22154, Crinkle Cat, Claire Von Barron, Stewardson, Illinois. Third to entry 5, Emma Rogers, Danielson, Connecticut. 4 to entry 7, Emma Rogers. And 5 to entry number 8, Catherine Romas, Chichester, New Hampshire. Placing on the white intermediate Ram Lamb class for the Lincolns, first place to entry 7, Christy 599, Chris Jones, Prineville, Oregon. Second place to entry 5, A. Anderson 2202, Andrew Anderson, Grant City, Missouri. Third to entry 6, Robert Sando, Arcanum, Ohio. And 4 to entry 4, Barry Hooker, Bloomington, Illinois.
Okay, down here in the Ram Belay ring in the spring Ram Lamb class, really an interesting class. The buck that starts the class certainly isn't the heaviest. He's not the biggest profiled. What he is the best balanced, most correct ram. Any of them out here, I really like his fleece. The way his neck comes out of his shoulder, he's up-headed. His angles are really good. The buck in second is really a big-bodied buck. He's got a lot of rib to him. He's got a lot of flank. I like that about him. I just like the smoothen them up a little bit, give them a little more balance, and fine them up from end to end. The ram in third is kind of a problem for me. He's the big framed ram in the class, obviously the big outlined one. He's got a really good fleece. His problem is he's just too straight in his shoulder, too short strided behind. He goes there. We'd also like to get some of the wool off of his face. The big buck in the class is in 4, I should say the heavy buck. A lot of good things about him. He hits me in a lot of good ways. I just can't take his fleece. I see him as being too coarse and off the chart on coarseness. Thank you.
Placing on the Romney pair of white ram lambs, first place went to Claire Von Behrens, Stewardson, Illinois. Second to Emma Rogers, Danielson, Connecticut. Placing on the junior ram lambs for the Rambouillets, first place to entry 12, DKF 381, Andrew Anderson, Grant City, Missouri. Second place to entry 7, in-body 2218, in-body Brothers Rambouillets, Genera, Ohio. Third to entry 9, Andrew H. Anderson, Grant City, Missouri. And 10 to entry, fourth to entry 10, Rachel Connor, South Bloomfield, Ohio.
As we come out here for our champion White Romney Ram, I think a really good show in terms of quality, and yet we haven't had a lot of numbers, but really a good set of sheep out here. And there's varying types and kinds and styles and from coast to coast, and that's one thing I do appreciate about this breed is from ocean to ocean, anywhere you go. They've got some Romneys that are a little different, but they're all good about their fleeces. They're good about their breed type, and you find some with some structural integrity as well. And so you get out here, and I find one that sort of surfaces the top rather handily for me, and then from there it gets just a notch closer, but I think the one that follows him, again, just the truest in terms of his step when we set him into motion, good in terms of his fleece and breed type. I'm going to go out here and select your champion reserve Rams. Congratulations.
For the White Romneys, our champion ram goes to the first place out of the Spring Ram Lamb class, entry 6, Rinker 2622, Claire Von Behrens, Stewardson, Illinois. The reserve champion ram goes to entry number 3 from the Fall Ram Lamb class, Amy 21190, Amy Mendenhall, Loma Rica, California. We are now ready to move into white yearling ewes for the Romneys. Placing on the Rambouillet pair Ram Lamb class, first place goes to Andrew H. Anderson, Grant City, Missouri. Second place to In-Body Brothers Rambouillets, Genera, Ohio.
Really nice class here. I think it kind of falls together pretty quick for me when we get them out here, and especially when we get back and study them from the three-quarter shot like this. I think a buck to start the class really long and level in his overall design when you get back and study him. Attractive enough about that front third, and I think that's really where he excels this class. The shape and the angle to that front shoulder, about a sheep that lays in, attractive enough about his fleece. I think a sheep, that's a really nice spot to start. Really like the boldness and then the cavity shape of this buck in second. Really, really well doing as far as a buck that just brings us so much width and dimension from that middle part of his body back, which I super appreciate. I love that build. Man, that front third of that sheep, if we could just reconstruct it a little bit. Don't like the angle of that shoulder, and I don't like how that construction is up front. But boy, there's so much good on that sheep as far as from that way back. I thought second was pretty logical. Like the head on him. I really appreciate that about him when you get in front of him and study him. The buck here in third for the young lady. Again, he kind of follows what we did in the class winner here as far as his long, level, and his overall design. I think where he gets in, it gives up some for me is when we get back and study him, just like to deepen him up in that middle part of his rib. Like to give him a little more shape and a little more maturity at this stage of the game, especially when the two bucks in front of him present us with so much shape and overall build. The buck that rounds out the class, by far the youngest buck, kind of the baby sheep of the class, but a buck that, the individual, when you get back and study him and then you get his fleece opened up, the buck that just carries a tremendous amount of lock and formation. I love the look of that fleece, just tremendous in its own right. A buck that's just given up so much in this class out here on the sawdust today. Congratulations.
Please have Rambouillet yearling ewes ringside and ready. You will be the next class. Placing on the pair of ram lambs for the Rambouillets, first place went to Andrew H. Anderson, Grant City, Missouri. Second to In-Body Brothers, Rambouillets, Genera, Ohio. Placing on the white junior ram lambs for the Lincoln Show, first place went to entry 13, Freeze Livestock, New Salem, North Dakota, on Freeze 22122. Second place to entry 10, Christie 600, Chris Jones, Prineville, Oregon. Third place to entry number 11, Robert Sando, Arcanum, Ohio. And 4 to entry number 9, Andrew H. Anderson, Grant City, Missouri.
Let's give the Rambouillet breeders a hand for a really strong set of rams today. I talked about him in class. We got a really big yearling. Need to open his face up some more. Probably fine his fleece up, but he's a big buck, big bone, tall, big outlined. The fall buck that wins the class, he's a chunk. He's really thick down his top. He's got a good fleece. I'd like to silken his hair up a little bit on his head, give him a little more breed character that way. The spring buck is the soundest ram out here. I think soundness is pretty important. I really like his head. He's got a little bit of feather, but we can live with that at this age. I like the hair coat on his head. He's really fine. He'll be your champion ram. Thank you.
For the Rambouillets, champion ram went to the first place junior ram lamb. Entry number 12, DKF 381, Andrew H. Anderson, Grant City, Missouri. Reserve champion ram went to entry number 5 out of the senior ram lamb class, Lazy 5, 8226, Joshua Wilson, Mount Ulla, North Carolina. Placing on the white pair of ram lambs for the Lincoln Show, first place goes to Chris Jones, Prineville, Oregon. Second place, Andrew H. Anderson, Grant City, Missouri. Third to Barry Hooker, Bloomington, Illinois. 4, Robert Sando, Arcanum, Ohio.
getting this white buck showing a really good set of bucks to come out here and start the male show, and it just makes you excited for what's to come. And you see the quality in these bucks and the fleeces and how well they're presented. And from a wool sheep standpoint, the amount of effort and the amount of time to get them this way, and then to have that much handle and just that much look when you go ahead and get them opened up. I just commend the breeders and the exhibitors on that. First and foremost, there's two that really quickly come to the top for me. I think it's a personal preference as far as a sort, but I think there's two that kind of hit me the hardest. I think when you get back and study them, they're the ones that have the cavity I like. They have the rib shape, they have the dimension, they have the look. We get out here on the sawdust, and at the same point, they have the overall width and dimension at the ground that their body cavity presents on the top side. We'll go get your champion in reserve. Congratulations.
For the Lincoln Show, our champion ram goes to our class winner from the intermediate ram lamb class in the white division. Entry number 7, Christie 599. Chris Jones, Prineville, Oregon. The reserve was first in the junior ram lamb class. Entry 13, Freeze 22122. Freeze Livestock, New Salem, North Dakota. Now ready for best fleece ram, best ram fleece.
The ewe that wins the Ramble A class, the yearling ewe class, is a rock star, and she's good. She's way big enough. She's absolutely correct. She's straight in her line. She's got a good fleece. She's thick. She's big-bodied. She's a good rip. She wins a 10-point cut. The ewe in second and third posed a problem for me. The ewe in second's got the best fleece in the class, no doubt about it. She's fine, she's dense, she's uniform from end to end. I would like to open up her face, drop her flank, give her a little more bone, but she's a good ewe. The big-bodied, heavy ewe in third, she might be a little past her prime as far as feed. She's a little bit coarser than the two ahead of her. She struggles to move, especially off her back legs. Then we get a couple ewes that it's evident they get out horsed. They're just not there today. Thank you.
As we come over here to start the female portion of the show, really a great set of ewes out here, and again, different types and kinds. And the ewe that we're finding on top again is the Sound of Sheep for me today. She's the best down her top, really strut level, comes back to a really good hip. She's got a good set of feet and legs under her. I like her chest floor compared to that rear flank. She's the one that maybe has that sweep and underline that I really prefer. I think when you analyze everything and put it together, she's just the soundest. She's the best in terms of her build. You get into her fleece, and she's also got the advantage. And actually in these top three females, that's one of the deciding factors. We can step right down in terms of fleece quality, and this ewe's going to win it up here for that reason. We come to the ewe here in second. Love this ewe off to the side. I think she just paints a pretty picture, one that's level down her top. Love the rib shape, the mass, the capacity, everything she's bringing to the table. Is she carrying too much extra for me today? Absolutely. She's getting just a little chunkier, about that 1/3. I'd like to lean her up. But you get into the fleece, certainly a nice enough fleece on this female. One that if we were to freshen her up and stretch her out in terms of that hind saddle, I think we could go ahead and get really close here in terms of an argument. We come to the outlier here in 3, and this is the one that made me struggle what to do with. Love this sheep off the side. Love her when I get over top of her. Extremely expansive in terms of her rib shape. One that is definitely the longest hind saddle, the longest sided sheep out here. One that I would like to change her in terms of that front end. I'd like to change her in terms of her blade structure and just make her just a little bit, give her a little more angle to that so she's not quite as straight. But the biggest thing for me is when we get into the fleece on this one, there's a little more variation, especially when we view it up high. There's just not that bold crimp. I think if we had that, I think she challenges out here for the class winner. I like that sheep a great deal. Again, here 1 and 4 that I like off to the side, the stylish ewe of the class. Love the extension, love the look. With that being said, one that gets just a notch shorter compared to the trio ahead of her, and one when you analyze her in terms of her fleece, just too much variance in that for me today to be able to go ahead and run with her. Rounding out the top lineup, a beautiful headed type of female. I like the open face. I like the point colors. I think one that's really good there. One when we get into the fleece, just not enough there for me in terms of uniformity. And one that's a little drier to the handle and the touch today. I don't know if it was wet or washed out, but just doesn't have that natural character that we're finding in the rest of them ahead. And that's what gets it run down here. But a really good class all the way through. Congratulations.
Placing on the yearling ewes for the Romney White Division, first place goes to entry 10, Little Hooves 148, Jane, Claire Von Barons, Stewardson, Illinois. Second place to entry number 9, Winding Wicks 2101, Chichester, New Hampshire, Catherine Romas. Third place to entry 14, Emma Rogers, Danielson, Connecticut. 4 to entry 11, Catherine Romas, Chichester, New Hampshire. 5 to entry 15, Rick Trojanowski, East Hampton, Connecticut. 6 to entry 12, Rick Trojanowski. 7 to entry number 16, Casey Bowerly, Martinsville, Ohio. Placing on the yearling ewes for the Ramblais, first place went to entry number 15, Dry Creek 2403, Dave Julius, Box Elder, South Dakota. Second place to entry 17, Man 2109, Allison and Mike Mann, New Cama, California. Third to entry 16, Cassandra Knutson, Centerville, South Dakota. 4 to entry 14, Rachel Connor, South Bloomfield, Ohio. And 5 to entry 18, Rachel Connor, South Bloomfield, Ohio. Best fleeced animal in the White Lincoln Show for the Rams went to A. Anderson 2202, a January Ram Lamb. Placing on the pair of yearling ewes for the White Romney Show, first place went to Catherine Romas, Chichester, New Hampshire. Second to Rick Trojanowski of East Hampton, Connecticut. And results of the Ramblais pair of yearling ewes, first place to Rachel Connor, South Bloomfield, Ohio.
A single entry over here in your White Romney. We get into the ewe lambs. A really nice kind of a ewe lamb. One that's level down her top. Really good in terms of her design. I like her in terms of her underline as well. And then you get into the fleece. Beautiful fleece on this female. Full of character. Really good in terms of its crimp. Just a really nice kind of a ewe lamb. Congratulations to the young lady.
Placing on the White Romney Fall Ewe Lamb class, first place to Claire Von Barons with LSF 2125. Claire's from Stewardson, Illinois. For the White Romney Show, we're on Winter Ewe Lambs. We need entry number 23, Kason Barley of Ohio. Your class is in the ring.
Catch. You guys made me work on this one. The ewe that starts the class is the most complete. She's got the best fleece in the class. There's no doubt about that in my mind. She's thick down her top. She's got all kinds of body. She's got enough flank in her. Are her front pasterns softer than some of them? Sure. Are they too soft? I don't think so. I mean, I'll take that ewe any day and put her in our pasture, and those feet will work on her. Ewe in second caught my eye coming in the ring right away. Common theme of the day, we'd like to clean up her face. She also gets belly wool running up pretty high on her side. But she's a beautiful ewe. I mean, she's feminine, she's girly, she's got a good enough fleece. Just a couple things there that don't work for me. The ewe in third, big, long-bodied, flashy, attractive ewe, fit really well. I need to fine her fleece up, need to peel the wool off her face. I mean, wool on faces is something that really doesn't work very well for me. Ewe in four just gets a little bit too straight-shouldered. Ewe in five obviously just runs out of gas, but she's really a thick ewe for her body size. She's probably the thickest ewe in the class. But let's give these guys a hand. Thank you.
All right, as we come over here in the next class of White Romney ewe lambs, and four really nice individuals, and I think we have one that just surpasses to the top rather handily for me. Love the design of this female, the extension up front, the levelness in terms of her line. She's good about her angles. She's got the underline as well that I'm looking for, and one that's just really sound. And then you get into the fleece, beautiful fleece, just a really, really good female to start this particular class. Then we come to a ewe out here in second, one that you really appreciate again in terms of bone work and stature. One that when you get into her, she's really long down that spine, long from that 13th rib on back. Really a nice fleece on this ewe as well. One that's maybe not quite as neat through the front third of her skeleton compared to the class winner. One that if we were going to change her, right there she wants to break a little at her hip loin today for me. I'd like to change that. Then we come to the ewe here in third, one that you really appreciate again in terms of her look from the side and the elegance that she has. Really stout in terms of her feature. One that's wide sprung through the center portion of her skeleton. With that being said, I'd like to change the angle to her hocks today. She gets a little straighter, especially as we set her into motion. I'd like to relax her about her angle there to be able to go ahead and move her higher. Really nice fleece on that female. And rounding out the class, we've got a more immature type of a ewe lamb out here. Just needs a few more days on feed. Maybe doesn't have quite the fleece quality, but a really good designed one, and the young lady's having a good time out here. Congratulations.
Next class for the White Romney show is Spring Ewe Lambs. We need an entry from JP Genetics, David Peterson, down at check-in, if you would, please. Placings on the class of senior ewe lambs for the Ramblais. First place went to entry 22. Lazy 5, 8232, Joshua Wilson, Mount Ulla, North Carolina. Second place to 23, Dewdrop 21-76, Mike Minter, Pemberville, Ohio. Third place to entry 20, Barrett Marshall, Arlington, South Dakota. 4 to 21, Joshua Wilson, Mount Ulla, North Carolina. Fifth place to entry 24, Rachel Connor, South Bloomfield, Ohio. 6 to 25, Asanja Connor, Asheville, Ohio. And 7 to 19, Rachel Connor, South Bloomfield, Ohio. Placing on the White Romney class of winter ewe lambs, first to Catherine Romas, entry number 21 with Winding Wicks 2201. Catherine's from Chichester, New Hampshire. Second place to entry 22, Little Hooves 236, Lindsay Schmall, Wausau, Wisconsin. Third to entry 19, Quail Meadow Livestock, Jeff and Stacy Stump, St. John, Kansas. 4 to 23, Kaysen Barley, Martinsville, Ohio.
What a great class of yearly news. A tremendous set to sort. The females behind me that I'm not going to talk about are just tremendous in their own right. And I have so much respect for the breeders and what they brought out. Man, I find myself with one to start the class that's just kind of right up my alley. So much width and dimension through that chest floor. You get in behind her, and she's wide, and then she progressively gets wider out through that pin set. Her body shape and her overall design is really something I'm drawn to quite a bit. And I love the width, the dimension, and still the femininity. Her angle to her shoulder is good enough. She hooks up to that apex, and she's just attractive up to that top side of her shoulder. I think a female that's, sure, she's the moderate one of the top 5, but I think from a design standpoint, love that middle part of her cavity, just blown apart in her rib shape. Just a really neat one. Love to start with her. She's one I could talk about for a long, long time. Congratulations. I think from there's some sorts, and I think we get into some fleece issues for me as far as, matching up what I want to look at as far as the visual shape of the body, and then we dig in and then we start sorting on some fleeces. I think the combination of what we have left is here in second, a sheep that just kind of grows on you. She gets out and moves really, really well. She's athletic enough off those rear 2. She comes at you and she steps out and covers her step really well. A large outline kind of a sheep, an attractive enough sheep when we get out here and look at her. I think we get into her fleece, and I think that's where she has a little more consistency of what we have remaining in the class, but a really solid, stout kind of a female there. Great ewe to stand second at Louisville. Congratulations. Love the outline on the ewe in 3. I mean, runs uphill, long neck, cool-shouldered. Just a sheep. I'm sure she's fighting this young lady out here, and she's ready to take her back to the pen. But, man, just a super attractive one. Wide built, just the shape of her body is tremendous. There's so much inconsistency when I get in and dig on her fleece. I want to use that sheep, but when I add up all the factors, I think 3 is where she needs to land. I think the sheep in 4 is, again, intriguing. One is a long-bodied and attractive. I think a sheep, we get out and put her on the step. She isn't covering her step as well. She gets a little more jerky off those rear 2 as far as the top 5. But again, a really nice outline one, a consistent one, a really nice one to stand for. Round out the class with one that, I'll be completely honest, if you had 100 of them, you'd probably love all of them. We get them out here on the sawdust, and we kind of get her shaped up and where she's going to fit in this class, just like to make her a notch more attractive in that front third of her skeleton. And that's really my only critique on her. We like her fleece, and we like everything from that standpoint back. But, man, we get them out here, and we got to look at them, and we got to say, there's that one. And I think she just doesn't have quite that one look for me today. But congratulations.
Well, we're not framing them. The ewe that wins the class, she's beautiful. She's got a great head, really good fleece. Undoubtedly, she's the most correct ewe in the class coming out of her shoulder. She's also probably the least broke one, but you get looking at her and she's good. I mean, I like her a ton. The ewe in second is a lot like her. Obviously, she's farther along in her development. She's got a good fleece. She just doesn't have the fleece or the style or the front end that the ewe that wins the class does. Ewe in third, the big ewe in the class. Common theme, she's got too much wool in her face, and I'd like to fine her up some, but she's big, growthy, feminine. She's done a lot of things well. Ewe in fourth just comes up short. She's got, in my estimation, the least desirable fleece in the class, and she's also the least correct. Thank you.
Placing on the White Lincoln Yearling ewe class, first place to entry number 24, Echo 2123 Dixie, Barry Hooker, Bloomington, Illinois. Second place to entry 17, Freeze 21014, Robert Sando, Arcanum, Ohio. Third place to entry number 23, Freeze Livestock, New Salem, North Dakota. Fourth place to entry number 18, Freeze Livestock. 5 to entry 27, Chris Jones, Prineville, Oregon. Sixth place to entry number 28, Chris Jones. 7 to entry 15, Deborah Vanderwyn, Greenwood, Delaware. 8th place, Scott Odlin, Ivanhoe, Minnesota. 9 to entry number 19, Andrew H. Anderson, Grant City, Missouri. 10 to entry 14, Barry Hooker, Bloomington, Illinois. 11 to 21, Luke Mumm, Whiteheath, Illinois. 12th place to entry 26, Andrew H. Anderson, Grant City, Missouri. 13 to entry 20, Jillian DeFries, Freeport, Illinois. 14 to entry number 22, Robert Sando, Arcanum, Ohio.
Test. Okay, single entry in the February U class in the Rambouillet. Really a good bodied sheep. She's thick, she's deep, great rib shape, a lot of bone, really correct. A lot of really good things about her. Thank you.
Placing on the pair of yearling ewes for the White Lincoln Show, first place goes to Freeze Livestock, New Salem, North Dakota. Second to Chris Jones, Prineville, Oregon. Third to Barry Hooker, Bloomington, Illinois. 4, Robert Sando, Arcanum, Ohio. And 5 to Andrew H. Anderson, Grant City, Missouri. Placing on the early junior ewe lambs for the Rambouillets, first place to entry 27, WCYC 059817, Sonia Connor, Asheville, Ohio. Second to entry 28, 2WB15N, Andrew H. Anderson, Grant City, Missouri. Third to entry 29, Barrett Marshall, Arlington, South Dakota. And 4 to entry 26, Rachel Connor, South Bloomfield, Ohio. Placing on the late junior ewe lamb class for the Rambouillets, first place goes to entry 30, Knutson, R2266, Cassandra Knutson, Centerville, South Dakota.
A really good class of Romney females as we round out the individual portion. Just a great set all the way through, and yet we find one that comes to the top rather handily for me. I think one that's just really good in terms of her design, overall skeleton makeup, one that's got some dimension, got some rib shape, yet still shows me some future. She's shown in a little longer staple than a lot. Maybe it leads you to believe she's a little further along, but she's really green to the touch, has a big top in her, really level in her design, one that's stout-footed. And then again, you get into the fleece. Beautiful fleece on this female. It's dense, it's got a great handle, good character, just a nice place to start. Then we come to the more moderate ewe lamb of this group up here, and I'm okay with that. We get out here. She shows me the most in terms of future. I think she's definitely the least far along in terms of her maturity pattern, one that just paints such a good silhouette off to the side. I love the chest floor to that rear flank. I love the stoutness in terms of its feature. I think one with some extension and really a good fleece on this one as well. When we compare her to the ewe here in 3, the main sort is when we set these one into motion, she stays really wide, she stays really true. I really appreciate the way she moves around the ring. Coming to the young ewe here in 3rd, giving these young ladies a hard time out here. She doesn't really want to be out here. Really a good type of a ewe lamb, extremely long topped, one that's long from that last rib on back. Beautiful fleece on this female as well. One that's maybe not quite as neat and tidy through the front third of her skeleton for me out here today. One, though, that when we set these into motion, I need her to handle her hocks just a notch nicer as we set them into motion to be able to go ahead and challenge into that second hole. Round coming here to the ewe in 4, really robust rib type of a sheep. One that I read being further along in her maturity pattern than the rest of the class. With that being said, she's already starting to pack on some cover here and there. but really a big top in this sheep, wide sprung, one with a nice fleece. She's good about her breed type. Just need to freshen her up and maybe stretch her out to the front end to be able to move her higher. Round out my top lineup again. A ewe that's got a bright future ahead of her. Today for me, when we get into her, I need to change her in terms of her fleece. When we get low on that side, I need to change her about her muzzle color to be able to move her higher. But I think a great set of sheep all the way down. Congratulations to the exhibitors.
Just a pair out here in the senior white drive here, and I think a really nice pair, a pair that I'm really attracted to as far as how they're built through the rib cage and how much mass and dimension they bring us. I just think when we stand back and we evaluate, and this fall ewe lamb that's going to start the class, she's just more elegant. She's better in her shoulder. She's a sheep in that front third of her skeleton. She just ties together better, especially when we get in front of her and get on that brisket plate. I really like her to start. Long-bodied, really attractive. Get her cooperating, get her move out a little better. We maybe get a little quicker evaluation of her foot and her movement. But boy, when you get back and study her, her set and her relaxedness on her hock gives me comfort to start the class with her. The sheep in second, again, we really appreciate the rib shape this sheep brings to the table. Get behind her. She's got some width and some dimension. A lot of things we like. Really square out the ground. Really good about her toe point. I think a sheep, when you get back at front third, is just where she runs out of style and really design overall when we get back and study this pair. But congratulations.
Placing on the Lincoln White Division Senior Ewe Lamb class, first place goes to entry number 29, Sando Farms 21-30, Robert Sando, Arcanum, Ohio. Second place goes to entry 30, Lean 2183, Barry Hooker, Bloomington, Illinois. Placing on the Rambouillet class, a pair of ewe lambs, first to Sonia Connor, Asheville, Ohio. Second, Joshua Wilson, Mount Ulla, North Carolina. Third to Rachel Connor, South Bloomfield, Ohio. Placing over on the white division of our Romney show in the spring ewe lamb class. First place goes to entry 25, Winding Wicks 2206, JP Genetics, David Peterson, Seaford, Delaware. Second place to entry number 33, Winding Wicks 2213, Catherine Romas, Chichester, New Hampshire. Third to entry number 32, Emma Rogers, Danielson, Connecticut. 4 to 24, Catherine Romas, Chichester, New Hampshire. 5 to entry number 28, Claire Von Behrens, Stewartson, Illinois. 6 to 31, Lindsay Schmall, Wausau, Wisconsin. And 7 to entry 30, Kaysen Byerly, Martinsville, Ohio. Placing on the white Romney pair of ewe lamb class, first place goes to Catherine Romas, Chichester, New Hampshire. Second, Claire Von Behrens, Stewartson, Illinois. And third, Lindsay Schmall, Wausau, Wisconsin.
Down here in the Rambouillet show in the Champion U Drive. Nice show, you guys. Not great big, but a lot of good ones. It's been a lot of fun sorting through them. Our breeds had a great year. More rams sold for more money nationwide than I can ever remember. A lot of good things going on. Yearling ewe, like I said in class, she's a good one. She's big, she's straight, she's got a good fleece. Little too much wool on her head, but we got to live with that today. Fall ewes got a beautiful fleece on her. Little too upright in her shoulder, but man, she's got a fleece, and she really handles well down her top. The early ewe lamb, as pretty as you can make one. I mean, she's got a beautiful front end on her. She's really extended. She's really feminine. I think she's really correct. She's green as grass. She's got a long ways to go. The February ewe is a good-bodied sheep we've seen today. I mean, she's thick down her top. She's got a big old hip on her. She's got a lot of good about her. With that yearling ewe is going to be champion, and let's pull that reserve ewe up and we'll take a look at her. Excuse me, second yearling ewe. The second yearling ewe comes in, and she's a long body drip. Really good fleece on her. The other ewe that's in contention with her is the spring ewe lamb, the January. I just think she's really good, but it's hard to beat a good yearling ewe where they're at, so she'll be your reserve. Thank you.
For our open Rambouillet show, our champion ewe goes to first place. Yearling ewe, entry 15, Dry Creek 2403, Dave Julius, Box Elder, South Dakota. The reserve champion was the second place yearling ewe, entry 17, Man 2109, Allison and Mike Mann, New KM, California. Now ready for Rambouillet Best Fleece Rambouillet in the ring. That'll be followed by the flock class.
Oh, congratulations to all the Romney exhibitors out here in the white breed. Just an extraordinary set of sheep out here. And again, you can take this line up and look at them in terms of their points and soundness and then their fleece as well. Just really good all the way through. I think their fleeces are beautiful. And like I said, the points are on. We get out here and there's one that I think wins it kind of for fun for me out here today in terms of what I'm looking for and angularity and style and just kind of excels in that regard. And then for reserve, it does get a little bit closer out here. I think we go to the opposite ends of the lines and just two really good females, really sound in their own right and really good in terms of their fleece and just built right sheep. So it gets kind of close for me. I'm going to go ahead and put the mic down, go out here and select your champion overall in reserve. Let's go ahead and put our hands together as we do that.
For the White Romney show, our champion ewe goes to the first place out of the winter ewe lamb class, entry number 21, Winding Wicks 2201, Catherine Romas, Chichester, New Hampshire. The reserve champion was the first place yearling ewe, Little Hooves 148, Jane, Claire Von Behrens, Stewardson, Illinois. Now ready for Romney Best White Fleece. For the Rambouillet, our best fleece went to Andrew Anderson, Grant City, Missouri. One of the stewards from the Rambouillet ring, come down, please. Would one of the ring stewards from the Rambouillet ring please come up to the desk? For the Rambouillet show, our placing on the flock class, first place goes to Rachel Connor, South Bloomfield, Ohio. And Rachel Connor will also be your premier exhibitor.
We want a set of females out here in the middle ring, and I think really when that last sword, that move there, we get out and get these these four, excuse me, that were extremely close in my mind. I think this youth that starts a class, she's the most fluid. She's the one that gets to the ground more athletically on that front part of her body. She stays leveler in her overall design and look when we get them out on the move, and I think one that's just super attractively built. A lot of look and a lot of handle to that fleece. I think when you get into that, I think that's just one that puts the most good together as far as fleece, structure, soundness at the ground. I think a really nice spot to start. You get in front of her. Love that look and that overall design of that muzzle as well. Nice spot to start. Sheep in second, really robust in her overall design. Sheep, when you get into her fleece, absolutely gorgeous from front to rear. We love that about her. When we get her back here and stack her up, does she stay overall is level and to that rear third of her skeleton as a class winner? No, but that's being awful picky. Here's one that's got so much width and so much good. I guess, when you come to Louisville, you want to get beat by a good one, and I just think this top five is just full of a lot of good ones, and it's how you want to stack them up in your own mind, but I thought second was logical for me. Sheep in three, man, what an outline on this sheep. I mean, when these guys get her stuck on the side, she just paints such a cool picture. Runs uphill, that three-quarter shot of her when you get behind her, you love her. We get out her motion and the restrictedness, and then just, man, how much depth and how much overall just softness do we have to that rear part of her body, where she's going to go ahead and be that maternal female with that robust rib cage and that design and that width. And I just questioned. I thought third was real logical. Once I did that last sort and we got them into motion, I thought, here's one that sure, if we were at a sale next year, she's going to have a ton of friends. But we get her out here, and I love rib and I love design, and I think three is really good for her in my mind. The sheep in four, one that just calmly works her way up through this sort, and then we get her to four and we just run out of overall width and dimension, but a really consistent, complete kind of female. Like the fleece on this sheep, you get into a super uniform. I just think the ESTs on her just aren't quite as much as the ones in front of her. Get her a little more design, get her more length, get her a little bit everything, but really consistent. Take a barn full of them, and you'll have a good flock at home. Same could be said in five here. Love the bone and the overall structure at the ground that this sheep brings us. Sheep, when we get back and study, she's just going to run out and be a little more consistent, especially on that top saddle part of her fleece for me today, but a really nice class. Congratulations.
For the best white fleece in the Romney show, we have Winding Wicks 2206, David Peterson, Seaford, Delaware. And for the flock class, first place goes to Catherine Romas, Chichester, New Hampshire. Our winner of the Premier Exhibitor Award for the White Romney Show is Claire Von Barons, Stewardson, Illinois. Placing on the White Lincoln Intermediate U Lamb class, first place goes to entry 35, Raider 2206, Jillian DeFries, Freeport, Illinois. Second place to entry number 37, Freeze 2254, Chris Jones, Prineville, Oregon. Third to 38, Freeze Livestock, New Salem, North Dakota. 4 to entry 31, Barry Hooker, Bloomington, Illinois. 5 to 32, Robert Sando, Arcanum, Ohio. 6th place to 40, Chris Jones, Prineville, Oregon. 7th place to 36, Lydia Smith, Greenwood, Delaware. 8 to entry 39, Andrew H. Anderson, Grant City, Missouri. 9 to entry 33, Andrew H. Anderson. 10 to entry number 34, Abby Brown, Princeton, Indiana. Judging our natural colored show today is Ryan Craig from St. Joseph, Illinois. Ryan is an agronomist for Oro Agra. He raises Corriedales and natural coloreds and has done so for 25 plus years, showing at the North American, the Indiana State Fair, the Kentucky State Fair, and the Illinois State Fair. He's past president of the American Corriedale Association, and he's currently an executive board member on the NCWGA.
as we start the natural colored portion of your Romney show and get out here into the rams. And we've got two rams, and they're extremely different in their type and kind. We've got one that's maybe a little more moderate in terms of his framework, a little more coarser in terms of his build. And then we have a more refined buck that's got some extension and a really tall, straight made type of sheep. As you analyze between the two, we're going to go ahead with the structural correctness of the top line in this ram that we're going to start with. One that's extremely good in terms of his fleece. He's got some flash up front, really good down that top, handles with enough length. He's certainly not the longer handling of the pair. He's not the stouter footed of the pair, but I think when you put everything together, he's the better made, he's the better fleeced of these two. Coming to the ram here in 3, I love the design in terms of rib shape and center body of this sheep. He's one extremely deep through the center part of his skeleton, one that's really opened up. With that, I'd like to change him up high. He just gets a notch coarser coming out of that shoulder for me today. And then when we analyze him up front, I'd like to change him about his breastplate and the way he lays in there at his chest to be able to go ahead and challenge. But again, a very nice fleece on a long-sided type of a sheep. Two nice rams. This is the way I'm going to go ahead and line them up today. Congratulations.
Placing on the class of natural colored Romney yearling rams, first place goes to entry 34, EC Plank 2117, Ethan and Caitlin Plank, Hillsdale, Michigan. Second place to entry 35, Schmall 2120, Lindsay Schmall, Wausau, Wisconsin.
We've got 3 entries here in the yearling ram class of the fine division. I think the buck that I'm going to start with is probably the cleanest front-ended buck that I see in the class. I love the bone, I love the style, I love the design of this sheep. When you open up the fleece too, you're not disappointed as well. So for me, he kind of comes to the top fairly easily. The decision for me was the bucks here in second and third. When I look at the buck in second, he's not the tall as the buck in third, but he's got the better bone structure, and that's kind of where he really sorts himself out today. Love the style, love the design, love the length of body. Probably the longest hit buck in the class here in second is where he places it today. I really love the profile of the buck that we're looking at here in third. If I could just clean up that front end a little bit and put a little bit more bone underneath him, I think I could get him a little bit higher. But a really nice set of yearling rams. Congratulations.
What an outstanding class of white ewe lambs, just tremendous. This top 5 is impressive. Female to win this class, she's an awful good one. Get into this used fleece, and I think that's really where the quick sort for me is. Tremendous about the look and just the overall design of that fleece as far as, when we get in and study that lock, just one that consistent from front to rear on top of that. There's so much of that sheep to be consistent with. She's so long-bodied, carries a lot of fleece and does it really, really well. And then on top of that, you get back and study her big foot, big hip, really cool in that shoulder. I think that's a really nice spot to start. I think the real decision-making is 2 and 3. I think sheep that are cut from 2 different cloths for sure. The sheep in second, I'm going to stick with what I've preached today, and I like that rib shape and that capacity and that width. I know we're in the late class here, and the maturity becomes kind of that point where we need to make some decisions, but I think this female has so much width and so much good to her. Love her about when you get in front of her. She moves so good out through that front end of her body. I really like the way she gets out and motors around, real consistent one. Young lady here in 3, she brings us one cut from a different type of cloth for sure. Man, she is cool designed when you get back and study her long, extended up through that front end. Her sheep's head could almost rest on her shoulder at some points, I would think, in this class. She's so cool and extended up through that front end. She's going to be a tremendous yearling ewe for her to come back and wheel at these guys next year. Her maturity curve maybe a little bit behind some of them other ones, but outstanding one there for her. Congratulations. And then we get into 4 here. Again, a sheep, when we study in the slate class, where do they fall as far as what do we want from that front third, how much angularity, how fresh do we want to have them handle. But I think the width and dimension Is she going to be the biggest one next year? Absolutely not. But is she going to be made right the rest of her life? Absolutely yes. So that means for me, I need to sort her kind of accordingly. And I think in this late class, I think four's really logical. Round out the class with another extremely cold-bodied, nice fleece shoe lamb. I think we get back and study her in this lineup. And again, just like to get a little more rib shape in her and then maybe work her up a little bit. But outstanding class. Congratulations. You guys brought a great set of lates.
Over
Place-
here for that. Over here for your natural colored Romney, a really nice kind of a ram, a single entry in this class, but one that really strikes a silhouette off the side. You like him in terms of his balance, his style, his bone work, one that's really level in terms of his lines. Beautiful fleece on this ram, front to rear. Really appreciate him as we get back and view him in terms of his hip shape. Just a nice kind of ram, could have stood a lot more competition. Congratulations.
Placing on the class of fall ram lambs, natural colored for the Romney Show. First place goes to entry 36, BW Winding Wicks 2129, Winding Wicks Farms, Teresa Romas, Chichester, New Hampshire. Placing on the white Lincoln Junior ewe lamb class, entry first in that class to entry 43, Freeze 2287, Freeze Livestock, New Salem, North Dakota. Second place to entry 49, Christie 598, Chris Jones, Prineville, Oregon. Third to entry number 50, Gargis Girls Farm, Taylor Gargis, Telford, Pennsylvania. 4 to Chris Jones, Prineville, Oregon, with entry 48. 5 to 46, Gargis Girls Farm, Taylor Gargis, Telford, Pennsylvania. 6 to entry 47, Deborah Vanderwind, Greenwood, Delaware. 7 to entry number 45, Robert Sando, Arcanum, Ohio. 8 to 41, Andrew H. Anderson, Grant City, Missouri. Placing on the natural colored fine division yearling rams, first to entry number 3, Wolf 21-30, Michael Bielitz, Hunt, New York. Second to entry 4, KP 183, Dave Julius, Box Elder, South Dakota. Third to entry 2, Harper Copeland, Lewistown, Ohio. Placing on the Lincoln White Division pair of ewe lambs, first place goes to Freeze Livestock, New Salem, North Dakota. Second to Chris Jones, Prineville, Oregon. Third to Gargis Girls Farm, Taylor Gargis, Telford, Pennsylvania. 4 to Barry Hooker, Bloomington, Illinois. And 5 to Robert Sando, Arcanum, Ohio.
Over here for your natural colored Romney Rams, we got two nice individuals and again, two Rams that offer a lot of good in different ways. The buck we're starting with, he's just by far superior in terms of his fleece. One that's long from that 13th ring back. He's level down his top. One that balances up well enough for me. He's not the better balance of the pair, but I think he's acceptable. But boy, when you get into the fleece, it just makes it a lot easier for me. He's going to go ahead and start it. We come to a long outline type of Ram here in second. Again, good in terms of his dine, a really nicely balanced type of Ram. We get into his fleece, just not quite the uniformity. Doesn't have quite the character that we're seeing in the class winner, but I think two really nice Rams. Congratulations.
Here in the fall buck lamb class, it's a little sour as we go through here. We we lost a really great breeder in the national colors in Dave Julius, and it's exciting for me to be able to judge some of his sheep here. So thoughts and prayers to their family, because Dave was a guy who kind of started me in this breed. So it's exciting for me to kind of sort his sheep one more time. But the buck I'm going to start with is probably the most fault-free buck in the class when we look at him. I really like the bone structure on the buck. I like the length of body. I think he's got the, compared to the buck in second, has probably got the better fleece from front to back. It's probably the most consistent from front to back. The buck in second, I think he closely follows the buck in first. For me, I just really like the depth of body, the rib shape of this buck. If I could just get him to walk around the ring a little bit taller up on those back feet, I can move up. The buck in third, I really appreciate this ram for the fleece and the body that he has, but just doesn't really compete with the size and scale that we have today. But congratulations on a nice set of fall buck lambs.
Placing on the natural colored Romney Ram Lamb class, first place to entry number 38, EC Plank 2212, Ethan and Caitlin Plank, Hillsdale, Michigan. Second place to entry 37, EC Plank 2209, Ethan and Caitlin Plank, Hillsdale, Michigan. Now showing natural colored spring Ram Lambs for the Romneys. Placing on the Senior Ram Lambs for the natural colored show in the fine division. First place goes to entry 5, BJB 21-1959B, Dave Julius, Box Elder, South Dakota. Second place to entry 9, BJB 1719, Mike Minter, Pemberville, Ohio. And third to entry number 8, Terry Mendenhall, Loma Rica, California.
Let's put our hands together for this female lineup here. What a great set of white Lincolns here to sort through. I get back and study this lineup next to me and then them females behind, and just a lot of rib, a lot of dimension, a lot of ruggedness, sheep that just have that maternal look to them, rib shape, and things that I'm drawn to, base width and just structure integrity. And then you get into their fleeces, and sure, you know, when we sort some classes, there's some give and take when we evaluate what we're looking at with our eyes as far as the structure and the design, and then also when we go ahead and dig in and what do we like with that fleece. As you can know, if you come to Louisville, it's who you ask. So you know, the deciding factor for me in the weighing of those combinations, land me on 2 sheep and do it pretty quick. So we'll go get your champion in reserve. Congratulations.
For the Lincoln Show in the white division, our champion U goes to entry number 43. First place in the Junior U Lamb class, Freeze 2287. Freeze Livestock, New Salem, North Dakota. Reserve champion goes to the first place yearling U. Entry number 24, Echo 2123, Dixie. Barry Hooker, Bloomington, Illinois. Next class will be Best White Fleece Best white fleece for the Lincoln Show.
A really nice group of ram lambs over here on your natural colored side, and we have two different types and kinds up here on the top, but I think both these are extremely good. We've got an upstanding ram, one that offers you a little more in terms of scale and up and out. I think one that's extended. He balances well from the side. I love the style. He's really true down his top. He's got a beautiful fleece on him as well. I think he's got the added advantage in terms of his underline there compared to the ram here in second, especially through the front end. We come to the ram in second, one that I really appreciate when I get over top of this buck. He's got a big square top and really long from that 13th rib on back. He's got some center body dimension, one that's really, really good about his fleece. He's by far the best fleece sheep out here in this class, and one that I really want to kind of run up with that. With that being said, just not quite as built as good in the front third of his skeleton compared to the class winner. This is the way we're going to go ahead with him today. I like that one a great deal. Coming to the ram here in three, another really good outline type of a sheep, one that might be a notch more up and out through the front end of a skeleton than the class winner, but when you put your hands on it, maybe a touch narrower compared to that guy. And the biggest difference is we get into the fleece, just not as true in his fleece compared to the two standing directly ahead of him. Round out the class, we have a big, rugged type of ram, one that you certainly appreciate for the size and scale this buck's bringing to the table. One that's maybe not quite as true down his top, one that I'd like to change him right there at his breastplate to be able to run him higher. But again, one with a very nice fleece about him. This is where he's going to end up landing for me today. Round out the class, another nice kind of a ram, one that's got a good fleece on him. He's got some extension. One I'd like to make a notch sounder on them rear wheels today to be able to move him higher, but a really nice kind of a ram. Congratulations.
In our Lincoln Show, best white fleece goes to entry number 37, Freeze 22054, Chris Jones, Prineville, Oregon. Placing on the Young Flock class for the White Lincoln Show, first place goes to Chris Jones, Prineville, Oregon. Second place to Freeze Livestock, New Salem, North Dakota. Third to Barry Hooker, Bloomington, Illinois. 4, Robert Sando, Arcanum, Ohio.
In this junior buck drive, there's a bunch of ages and ranges and weights and styles and different kinds. And for me, I think the one that I like the best, I'm going to start with. I like to clean him up just a little bit in that front third and that brisket style, but everything else, when I look at this buck, kind of says he kind of comes to the top for me. Love the shape, love the style, love his design. He doesn't want to necessarily, put his best appearance for him right now, but when you get your hands on him, you open up that fleece, this ram for me is the one that comes to the top. The buck in first is over the buck in second, mainly because of the fleece. The buck in second has a little bit coarser fleece to him, a little bit less consistent to me. I love the style, love the shape. Buck has really grown, done a good job for him at this point in his life. Look at that buck getting a lot bigger later on when he becomes a yearling. The buck in third, he places himself here. I just really want to stretch out his hip a little bit longer to get him higher in the class today. Really, really like the bone on this buck. I'd like to make him a little bit free and easier as he gets around the show ring, but for me, he places third today and fits there nicely. My trouble buck is the buck in fourth. I really like to straighten his top up, really like to straighten up those back wheels a little bit to get him any higher, but man, you appreciate the freshness, the prettiness of this buck, especially when you get your hands on him when you open up his fleece. The buck in fifth, to me, I think just pure size, scale kind of falls in there, but a really nice set of bucks to finish out the buck show. Congratulations.
Placing on the class of Placing on the Romney class of natural colored spring ram lambs, first place goes to entry 43, Thistledown 219, Ainsley Porter, and Thistledown, Askham, Illinois. Second place to entry number 42, Higgins 22152, Megan Higgins, Coventry, Connecticut. Third to entry number 41, Ainsley Porter and Thistledown, Askham, Illinois. 4 to entry 39, Ethan and Caitlin Plank, Hillsdale, Michigan. 5 to entry number 40, Jason Walensky, New Glarus, Wisconsin. 6 to Ethan and Caitlin Plank, entry number 44 from Hillsdale, Michigan. Placing on the class of flock for the Open Lincoln White Division show, first place in the flock goes to Chris Jones, Prineville, Oregon. Second to Freeze Livestock, New Salem, North Dakota. Third to Barry Hooker, Bloomington, Illinois. 4 to Robert Sando, Arcanum, Ohio. And the premier exhibitor for the white division of the Open Lincoln Show is Robert Sando, Arcanum, Ohio.
A really nice group of rams as we get out here for your champion, natural colored Romney Ram. I think all these class winners certainly deserving, and they each bring something different to the table. And then again, at the end of the day, I'm a guy that goes for complete sheep, ones that are extended, ones that fit the bill in terms of pattern I'm looking for. Yet I'm really critical about the fleece and soundness on the move. So all that being said, we come out here and it really gets a little bit narrower for me. I'll go out here and select your overall champion reserve Rams. Let's go ahead and put our hands together.
For the Romney Show in the colored division, our champion ram goes to the first place. Out of the Fall Ram Lamb class, entry 36, BW Winding Wicks 2129, Winding Wicks Farms, Teresa Romas, Chichester, New Hampshire. Reserve champion was our class winner out of the Spring Ram Lamb class, entry 43, Thistledown 219, Thistledown, Ainsley Porter, Ashcombe, Illinois. Placings on the pair of Ram Lambs for the fine division of our natural colored show. First place goes to Harper Copeland, Lewistown, Ohio. Second to Mike Minter, Pemberville, Ohio.
Let's give the exhibitors in the Champion Ram Drive and the fine division a round of applause for a fine set of bucks that they brought out today. I think it's pretty easy for me. I think there's one that's come to the top. I think what he brings is the breed type, the style, the size, the fleece, everything that you're looking for in a stud buck. I think it comes closer for your first and second, and I'll go out and show you my choices for champion and reserve ram.
Boy, just 2 bucks in this yearling class, but absolute stud bucks in their own right. Tremendous bucks. Man, the fleece quality on both these individuals is remarkable. The condition and just the overall look and handle to it, it's really makes you step back. I almost handled them again just for fun. But man, 2 bucks that bring you so much quality. Bucket starts the class. You want to talk about it, just an absolute stud when you stand in front of him. Wide in his chest, wide at the ground. He gets out motors on those rear two. Tremendous, so much width around his dew claw. Just a big-footed kind of a sheep, naturally big-footed, bunch of rib, ton to like about him. And really, when you study him, you get back and you put your hands on him, this buck is in perfect condition. Not too far one way or the other. Just an absolute great spot to start. Thank you for bringing him out to me. The buck in second, he's the elevated one. He's the one that's attractive. He's the one that just gets maybe a nickel shorter as far as when we talk about his overall width when we get back and study him. But that's okay. That's a buck that brings us some different pieces. I love how extended and how cool he's up through that front end. Just 2 absolute stud bucks. Congratulations.
Placing on the natural colored class of junior ram lambs, first place goes to entry 18, Broken Arrow 309, Harper Copeland, Lewistown, Ohio. Second place to entry 10, Belmar Farm 2272, Hadley Paulus, Castown, Ohio. Third place to entry 17, Harper Copeland, Lewistown, Ohio. 4 to 15, Tor Sorensen, Otterville, Missouri. 5 to 14, Mike Minter, Pemberville, Ohio. 6 to 12, Sanja Connor, Asheville, Ohio. And 7 to entry number 13, Emily Anderson, Grant City, Missouri. Our champion in the fine division of the natural colored show, Champion Ram, goes to entry number 3 out of the yearling ram class, Wolf 21-30, Michael Beowitz of Hunt, New York. And reserve champion was our class winner from the junior ram lamb class, entry number 18, Broken Arrow 309, Harper Copeland, Lewistown, Ohio. Placing on the class of natural colored Lincoln yearling rams, first place to entry 51, Reed 2052, Black Onyx, Mindy Reed, Houstonia, Missouri. Second place in that class to entry 52, Reed 2104, Agate, Mindy Reed, Houstonia, Missouri. Placing on the Romney natural colored pair of ram lambs, first place goes to Thistledown, Ainsley Porter, Ashcombe, Illinois. Second place to Ethan and Caitlin Plank, Hillsdale, Michigan.
Just $2 here, and I think bucks that are obviously on different ends as far as when you get back and study them, as far as their rib cage and their maturity and how much mass and design they're going to bring. Really a workhorse kind of a buck here to start the class. He's thick from one end to the rear, and a buck that gives us some dimension and just some overall productivity through that middle part of his body. Like him quite a bit there. Running to a buck in second here, just a buck I'd like to shoot with him, a little more rib, a little more just overall umph. Especially in that middle part. But nice pair of bucks. Congratulations.
Placing on the natural colored Lincoln class of senior Ram Lambs, first to entry number 54, Reed 21-48, Mindy Reed, Houstonia, Missouri. Second place to entry number 55, Lean 2130, Barry Hooker, Bloomington, Illinois. Now showing intermediate Ram Lambs, natural colored intermediate Ram Lambs for the Lincolns.
get in this buck lamb class here, and just a buck lamb that just paints such a great picture from the outside looking in, elevated and really angular. But then on top of that, it's a sheep that has some middle and has some cage to him. He reads really fresh, but yet brings us some things that we can project to be a powerful kind of a sheep as he continues to grow and mature. Love him about his fleece, really uniform and really good to the handle. So much luster in his fleece. A sheep that you just really appreciate that for that sheen. I think that's a super nice spot to start. Congratulations. A buck in second here as we kind of sort some things, positives and negatives. Here's a sheep that's really square out through that hip, a sheep that's really dead level down that top, opened up and has a lot of thickness and stoutness on the top side of his skeleton. I think where he gets into two for us is he's just better at the ground than the bucks remaining in this class. I think a buck that's stouter and more sure-footed as we put them on the move. There's a nice spot to plug him in second. The big boot here in three, a sheep that just brings us so much sheep and so much buck here. We get him at the ground, but we need to get him a little better on his feet today. Buck would get him out and move, and he's just not sound enough to be able to work up and get him to project as far as maturing him and making him even heavier as he projects out. But a really nice buck, long-sided, a ton of things to like about him. Really like his fleece as well. We talk about the crimp and the lock. I think that fleece is going to shear off and look super good on the table. Round out the class with a buck that, we get into his fleece. We're going to run out of that formation, just too much inconsistency. And a buck is just going to run out of her sheer power in this class as well. Congratulations.
Placing on the natural colored intermediate ram lamb class for the Lincoln Show. First place goes to entry 57, Reed 2203, Mindy Reed, Houstonia, Missouri. Second place to entry number 56, Reed 2206, AI, Luke Mumm, Whiteheath, Illinois. Third to entry 61, Freeze Livestock, New Salem, North Dakota. And four to entry number 60, Emily West, Concessus, New York.
Here in the Yearling U Drive, I think we have a female that is just pretty cool to look at, pretty cool to touch. You get your hands around her, she just is exciting. She's got rib cage, she's got depth, she's got thickness. She's straight as an arrow when you get on top of her. And then the cool thing is you open up that fleece, she doesn't disappoint you. She's consistent from front to back. She's just a type of female that you're really proud of to make one of those kind. And so for me, she comes to the top really, really easy. But the trouble for me is you in second. I think when I look at what she's done in her height and her development and her growth in that front end, I think she's just really extended, which I really appreciate. I love the length of side. I think the profile of her is really nice. But I'd really like to get her to really clean up as she moves around the ring just a little bit better for me. When I look at the next three ewes, they're kind of peas in the pod. I think the reason I made the switch here at the end, I really, really like the fleece on this ewe in third. You can open it up. It's clean. It's pretty. It's consistent. It's got the touch. It's got the density to it. I really, really like that fleece on that ewe. The ewe in fourth is pretty much a carbon copy of the ewe here in third. I think that for me, the fleece is where we really separate these two. I really like the ewe in fifth here. I think she's just got a little bit more cover for me today to move her up any higher, but a really exceptional set of yearling ewes. Congratulations.
pair of bucks here in the late. I think, quite honestly, 2 bucks that could handle quite a bit of competition. I'm just not saying that. It's a really close decision. Bucks that are cut from a little different mold. The large outline, the really extended up front end buck is going to win the class here for me. Love his foot size and his masculinity there at the ground. Has a really stout open head to him, and just a buck to start this class visually that is eye appealing. Get into his fleece again, really consistent. A buck that just, again, handles with length and just overall width as far as the structure. Like the long-bodied sheep here in second. I think when they get him set up, he's really dead level and really good design on the side view. We put him into motion, maybe a notch more restricted than our class winner, but a really nice pair. Congratulations.
Placing on the natural colored fine division of our show for yearling ewes, first place to entry 23, Wolf 21-31, Braden Wolf, Upper Sandusky, Ohio. Second to 26, Minter Homestead 3033, Mike Minter, Pemberville, Ohio. Third to entry 20, Sonia Connor, Asheville, Ohio. 4 to 22, Allison and Mike Mann, New Cama, California. 5 to entry 19, Sonia Connor, Asheville, Ohio. 6 to 24, Emily Anderson, Grant City, Missouri. 7 to entry 25, Laurel Stone, Vinetta, Oregon. Placing on our pair of yearling ewes, first place goes to Sonia Connor, Asheville, Ohio.
Over here and your natural colors and the yearling ewes for your Romney breed. I think just an extraordinary set of sheep all the way down, and we got a class that we got some depth in out here, and all the way down, just a great set of females. That being said, I think we find one on the top that combines the things that I'm looking for in terms of show ring style, in terms of soundness on the move, athleticism, and then you get into the fleece, and just a beautiful fleece on this female. She's level down her top. She handles with enough thickness. She's not quite the widest sprung out here in this class, but I think she's really acceptable in that region. The widest sprung comes in here in second. But one that just, when you analyze her from the 3/4, when you analyze her off the side, she just paints a picture. There's really no holes. She's going to go ahead and start. That's a nice one. We come to you here in second that I'm really drawn to in terms of body dimension. Extremely long top type of sheep, one that's long from that 13th rib on back. Extremely bold about her rib. One that balances up tremendously well from the side. One that maybe doesn't have quite the fit job that we're seeing up here on the front, but one that's certainly not giving up any in terms of extension. The biggest difference between these two for me today is freshness of fleece and cover over the ribs right there. We're showing a fresher one up here on the top that's going to start the class. We come to you here in 3, and again, one, you could take some clipper blades and kind of change this one into whatever you want. If you analyze her in terms of skeletal build, from her chest floor to her chine, all the way back to her tail head and the balance off the side, she matches these two females up here really well in terms of skeleton. One that just has kind of a different fit job on her compared to them, but one with a beautiful fleece. She's really long and coarse in terms of her fleece as well. What you see is what you get. She's level over that top, handles long, really nice kind of ewe. If we were to critique her a little bit, gets a notch straighter on the hocks than I prefer, gets a notch closer in the knees. We change those, and it could be really more competition up here at the top end. We come to the next ewe out here. Beautiful ewe off to the side. One that's robust, again, in terms of her rib shape. She's a stout-footed type of a sheep. Beautiful fleece on her. I love the gunsmoke color of this one as well. One with that, we're getting a little straighter in our shoulder. I'd like to relax her about her angle right there, especially when we set her into motion. That opens up her brisket a little bit. I'd like to change that, and we go ahead and run her up there to the top. Then we come down here to 5 and a really pretty type of a ewe off the side. I love the pattern. I love the rib shape. One that maybe doesn't have quite the added length of side that we're seeing in some of them directly ahead of her. Maybe not quite the character of fleece, but boy, I love that rib shape, a really flashy type of a female. Great group of sheep all the way down. Congratulations.
Placing on the natural colored Romney yearling U class, first place goes to entry 56, Thistledown 106, Thistledown Ainsley Porter, Ashcombe, Illinois. Second place to entry 45, EC Plank 2112, Lindsay Schmall, Wausau, Wisconsin. Third place to entry 53, Ethan and Caitlin Plank of Hillsdale, Michigan. 4 to entry 54, Thistledown Ainsley Porter, Ashcombe, Illinois. 5 to entry number 48, Winding Wicks Farms, Teresa Romas, Chichester, New Hampshire. 6 to Ethan and Caitlin Plank, Hillsdale, Michigan. 7 to entry 47, Jason Walensky, New Glarus, Wisconsin. 8th place to entry 57, Jason Walensky. 9 to entry 49, Winding Wicks Farms, Teresa Romas, Chichester, New Hampshire. 10 to entry number 55, Rick Trojanowski of East Hampton, Connecticut. 11th place to entry 50, Rick Trojanowski. And 12 to entry 52, Kaysen Barley, Martinsville, Ohio.
Get out of here for champion buck, and a really impressive set of 8 here for sure. 3 come to the top to my mind when we work through those classes and we get them stuck back out here, and I think there's an obvious choice for champion buck, one that just is super overwhelming, so masculine, so designed the way I really appreciate sheep. With dimension and then just tremendous fleece. There's one that just kind of sets himself apart from his contemporaries, and then from there it gets a little closer. But hey, congratulations if you had bucks in this show. Really well presented, really good fleeced on them. Congratulations. We'll go get your champion reserve.
For the natural colored show of our Lincolns, our champion ram goes to entry 51, the yearling ram. Reed 2052, Black Onyx, Mindy Reed, Houstonia, Missouri. Reserve champion was second in that class of yearlings. Entry number 52, Reed 2104, Agate, Mindy Reed, Houstonia, Missouri. Also for the junior ram lamb class in the natural colored Lincolns, first place went to 64, Reed 2216, Mindy Reed, Houstonia, Missouri. Second place went to Freeze 22105, Freeze Livestock, New Salem, North Dakota. Placing on the pair of ram lambs, first place went to Mindy Reed, Houstonia, Missouri. Second to Freeze Livestock, New Salem, North Dakota. Now ready for natural colored yearling ewes for the Lincolns. Placing on the pair yearling ewes for the natural colored Romneys, first place to Thistledown, Ainsley Porter, Ashcombe, Illinois. Second place to Ethan and Caitlin Plank, Hillsdale, Michigan. Third place to Jason Walensky, New Glarus, Wisconsin. 4 to Winding Wicks Farms, Teresa Romas, Chichester, New Hampshire. And 5 to Rick Trojanowski, East Hampton, Connecticut.
really fun set of fall ewe lambs to sort through. I think these two really come, actually the top three come to the top really, really easy for me. I think when I really start breaking down and looking at these females, this front third of this female, the way she extended, she just profiles absolutely beautiful. She's really, really deep-sided. She's deep-ribbed. She's going to make a really, really cool yearling next year. I think the difference between for first and second is I'd really like to get the second one up on her toes just a little bit more to get her any higher. But man, when you open up that fleece, it's gorgeous. When you get your hands on it, it's dense, it's complete. It's a really, really fine female. The ewe in third, I'd just like to make her a little bit deeper to compete with the ewe in first or in second today, but a really nice female in her own right. When I look at the ewe in fourth here, really, really like the consistency of this fleece from front to rear. I'd like to clean her up in that front 1/3 a little bit, but man, you like the hip, you like the hind saddle, you really like from the 13th rib back, what this ewe brings to the table. The ewe in fifth just needs to be a little bit taller, a little bit longer, just a little bit thicker through that top to move her up any higher today, but a nice set of fall ewe lambs. Congratulations.
Over here on the senior ewe lambs for your black natural colored Romneys out here, I think three really neat individuals, and they're certainly all different in their own type and kind. And for me, it comes together rather logically. The most complete female for this breed comes out here, and she's going to start the class extremely straight down her top. What you see is what you get. Love the angles through the front third of this one, skeleton. Love the extra flash that she's showing. She balances up really well. One that when you get into the fleece, and again, that's where she really starts to excel. Just a beautiful fleece for a female like that. She's going to go ahead and start the class. That's a nice one. We come to the ewe here in second. Definitely the outlier of the group in terms of look from the side. This thing is extended. She is long-bodied. She is straight down that top. One with the most amount of length from that last rib on back. One that paints a picture off to the side. With that being said, when we get into her fleece, we need to change it just a little bit, make it a notch coarser to be able to go ahead and use. We're getting a little too towards the medium for me out here, more than I'm comfortable with. She's going to go second. We come to the ewe here in third. Again, a really nice kind of ewe. She's real complete in her makeup. She's level down her top. Maybe doesn't have quite the pizzazz and style we're finding the ones ahead of them, especially through the front end of their skeleton. But again, you like the bone work, you like the fleece on this ewe. One that maybe if I were to change her, I'd like to pull some of the grease off of her, but a very nice kind of a female. Congratulations.
Placing on the natural colored Romneys in the fall ewe lamb class, first place goes to entry 61, Winding Wicks 2126, Winding Wicks Farms, Teresa Romas, Chichester, New Hampshire. Second place to entry number 59, Thistledown 1102, Thistledown, Ainsley Porter, Ashcombe, Illinois. Third place to entry 60, Jason Walensky, New Glarus, Wisconsin. Results from the natural colored fine division senior ewe lamb class. First place to entry 35, DDF 2177, Brandon Close, Barrett, Minnesota. Second place to entry number 38, Minter Homestead 1517, Mike Minter, Pemberville, Ohio. Third place to entry 32, Michael Biowitz, Hunt, New York. Fourth place to 27, Dave Julius, Box Elder, South Dakota. 5 to 37, Hadley Paulus, Castown, Ohio. 6 to 36, Sanja Connor, Asheville, Ohio. 7 to entry number 33, Harper Copeland, Lewistown, Ohio. 8th place to 30, Terry Mendenhall, Loma Rica, California. 9 to entry number 40, Hadley Paulus, Castown, Ohio. 10 to 39, Sonja Connor, Asheville, Ohio. 11-29, Terry Mendenhall, Loma Rica, California. And 12-31, Rachel Connor, South Bloomfield, Ohio.
What a great yearling U class here. 8 individuals and just a tremendous set. Things to like about all of them for sure. And we got a little heifer up here to start the show. It just gets around the ring and just glides and so super fluid as far as her movement. She is the most athletic sheep by a mile. And it's just tremendous to see her get out and move. Covers her step, so agile and so fluid out through that front part of her body. Gets back and just really sets them rear two down and has some flexibility in her hock. Just a tremendous one that's built super cool here. Nice place to start. Congratulations. The two in second and third here kind of cut from the same mold. Usually get back and study your their length of body. You like how they run uphill and they give us some of that angularity and that femininity through the front end. Sheep that we get into their fleeces, they're uniform enough. I don't think there's a big break there. There's a big changer for me. I just think the sheep in second, when we get back and study her, she just gives us a little extra as far as that hind saddle. A sheep that wants to get a little longer out through that hip, but really a nice one there, extended up through the front end. One we can stand second and do an awful well job. Young man's sheep here in 3 again. Another really long-sided sheep, a sheep her under part of her body we really appreciate. Has some depth, has some softness. Just a really attractive yearling ewe. Her condition maybe a nickel more than I'd like to see today, but taking nothing away from her, she's a really good one. Congratulations. Absolutely love the fleece on this sheep in form. Love that lock. I just love the depth. I love the uniqueness and the look to that fleece. One that you just really tie into. Depending on how much of that percentage you want to lean one way or another. I mean, she just has a fleece that you just love to shear off and see what it look like. One that when we get her out here and we stack her up, those ESTs as far as the design and the look and the rib shape and the capacity, I think she's just going to fall short today. 4 is a logical spot for me. And then we're going to round out the class with one that when we get into her fleece, there's just too much inconsistency, front to rear, top to bottom. A long-bodied one, and then again, she wants to get a little more restricted off those rear two, get a little more straighter design. But nice class, congratulations.
Placing on the natural colored Lincoln Yearling U class, first place goes to entry 66, Reed 2112, Radiance. Mindy Reed, Houstonia, Missouri. Second to entry 68, Freeze 21032, Freeze Livestock, New Salem, North Dakota. Third to entry number 70, Mindy Reed, Houstonia, Missouri. 4 to 72, Deborah Vanderwind, Greenwood, Delaware. 5 to 71, Freeze Livestock, New Salem, North Dakota. 6 to 69, Katie M. Miller, Newville, Pennsylvania. 7 to 65, Greenbrier, Brookville, Ohio. And 8 to entry 67, Luke Mumm, Whiteheath, Illinois.
There's a wide range of ages, I think, when we start sorting through this junior ULAM class. I think the one for me that I'm going to come to the top is probably the easiest to me, the fault-free ewe of the class. When you get your hands on this sheep, she really, really doesn't disappoint. All four legs are sticking in the right direction. They're all heading forward. She's deep, she's thick, and I think there's just a lot left in this female. To me, she really, really, really is a fancy one and an easy one to win the class. The challenge for me is the ewes in second and third. I think the ewe that's in second most closely follows a ewe in first. I think they make a really fancy pair. When you open up both of those fleeces, both of them are very similar. They're most consistent, especially from that britch area back. The ewe in third, I could move her up a little bit if I could just stretch her out a little bit or clean up that front 1/3. But for me today, she places third and I think does it nicely. Excuse me. The ewe in fourth, just would like to get her to run uphill a little bit more. She wants to break from those hips down to that shoulder. If I could get her to run a little bit different, I think she could work her way up. A nice young youthful ewe here in fifth. I think her better days are yet to come. But congratulations on a nice set of ewe lambs.
Out here in your natural color Romney, we get into the junior ewe lambs, and again, a really strong set all the way through. And boy, we have a stylish one up here on the top end to start with. One that I love the design off the side. I love the elegance. I think one that's really good down her top. She balances up tremendously well. She's got the most turn to that rib, yet she's still fresh in her handle. I don't read her to be a little further along than I prefer. I think she's kind of right on in that aspect. One that when we set these into motion, that's where she excels. That's where we sort this class at the end. I think one that just motors around the ring, stays wide, stays true, she wins it. Coming to the ewe here in second, one that really follows her in type and kind, really level down her top. One that when you analyze her in terms of her angles, she's really good on both ends of her body. One that shows me some turn to that rib, some balance from the side, and again, really fluid on the move, and that runs her up here. Both these females have beautiful fleeces on them, a nice 1 and 2. Coming to you here in 3, definitely, again, an outlier, and one that's just maybe a little uncomfortable when we set her into motion. She wants to get just a little choppier. I'd like to relax her out as we step her out there. I'd like to spread her out and make her just a notch wider in terms of her base width on the move as well. But boy, I tell you what, one with some extension, one with a great look. And again, she is arrow straight down her top. She's got the better hip of this class. I love her for that. When you get into the fleece, certainly maybe not what I'm looking for out here, but I think one that certainly fits the bill in terms of breed character and the grading system. She's going to fit right in. She's going to end up at 3 here. Coming to the ewe here in 4, a really large outline type of ewe. One, if you're looking for the pounds heavy ewe, this is definitely the one of this top lineup. You really like the bone work underneath this female. Really a nice fleece as well. Where we start running into issues, just not as coordinated on the move compared to the 3 standing directly ahead. One that's a notch coarser about the front end of her skeleton and down her shoulders as well compared to the 3 that are standing directly ahead. We rounded out the class a really robust type of ewe, one with some bone work, a beautiful fleece on this ewe, one that just gets a little more too short and compact for me today to be able to challenge some of these ewes up here. But boy, a great set all the way down. Congratulations.
Placing on the natural colored fine division junior ewe lamb class, first place went to entry 42, BJB 22KKS1780B, Tor Sorensen, Otterville, Missouri. Second place to entry number 46, BJB 22KS1789B, Tor Sorensen, Otterville, Missouri. Third to entry number 45, Harper Copeland, Lewistown, Ohio. 4 to 49, Harper Copeland. 5 to entry 53, Mike Minter, Pemberville, Ohio. 6th place to 47, Emily M. Anderson, Grant City, Missouri. 7th place to entry 50, Laurel Stone, Veneta, Oregon. 8th place to entry number 43, Laurel Stone. And 9th to entry number 48, Laurel Stone. Placing on the natural colored class of our Lincoln show for pair of yearling ewes, first to Mindy Reed, Houstonia, Missouri. Second to Freeze Livestock, New Salem, North Dakota. Placing on the natural colored winter ewe lambs for the Romneys, first place goes to entry number 67, Winding Wicks, 2204 Winding Wicks Farms, Teresa Romas, Chichester, New Hampshire. Second place to 62, Ethan and Caitlin Plank, Hillsdale, Michigan, with EC Plank 2214. Third to 65, Thistledown, Ainsley Porter, Ashcombe, Illinois. 4 to 63, Ethan and Caitlin Plank, Hillsdale, Michigan. 5 to entry 66, Anna Mickelson, Stoughton, Wisconsin. 6th place to 68, Lindsay Schmall, Wausau, Wisconsin. And 7 to entry 64, Quail Meadow Livestock, Jeff and Stacy Stump, St. John, Kansas.
We get out here in a fall ewe lamb class, and this is going to be extremely cliche to say, but there's 3 females that are absolutely high quality. I from front to rear on all 3 of these, from first, second, and third. There's a lot to like about these 3 females. Let's talk a little bit about them. We're going to start with the class winner here for me. She just puts the most together, especially when we look at her underline and a sheep that's going to balance correctly for me today. A sheep that's going to get softer and deeper as we work our way back. But yet she's still elegant and attractive up through that front end. They get her propped up and get her looking really good on the side view. Just a great look at a great female there. We get into her fleece, and she's probably the most consistent for me front to rear today in this set of 3. Just a nice spot to land. The decision is in 2 and 3 for me for sure. The large outline sheep, the maybe a tick more mature sheep here in second for the class. A ton to like about her fleece. We get in a lot of lock, a really tight formation there. A unique fleece for sure. One that you get in and it's really neat to study. A sheep, when I get back and stand, I just like to see her a little deeper in her flank. I'd like to get her to balance a notch more for me today. But a really nice one there in second. Sheep in third, just really one of them consistent kind of sheep I talked in the white show a little bit about, but these are the kind of females, fault-free, good on the underline, and sheep that can handle it when they get out and put into motion. I think when we get her stacked up, just need a little more of her, especially when we talk about hind saddle to compete with the 2 above her, but outstanding outstanding group of fall ewe lambs. Congratulations.
Placing on the natural colored Lincoln Senior Ewe Lamb class, first place goes to entry 78, Reed 2141, Mindy Reed, Houstonia, Missouri. Second to entry 77, Reed 2143, Cosmo, Mindy Reed, Houstonia, Missouri. Third to entry 76, Greenbrier, Brookville, Ohio.
Let's give our fine division a round of applause for before the lights go out. A round of applause because this is an outstanding set of females. I think when we look at the like and tind that we have from our yearlings to our falls to our springs, I think when we look at fleeces, we look at what they bring to the table. I think there's some really exciting females out here. For me, there's these front 3 I think are pretty special, are pretty cool. I would love to have any one of those in my flock, but there's 2 of them I think that kind of follow each other most likely in type and kind. To me, those are the ones I'll go out and pick your champion and reserve champion ewes.
For our natural colored fine division, our champion ewe goes to our first place yearling ewe, entry 23, Wolf 2131, Braden Wolf, Upper Sandusky, Ohio. Reserve champion goes to our first place senior ewe lamb, entry 35, Dewdrop Farm 2177, Brandon Close, Barrett, Minnesota.
A really nice set of females as we round out the individual portion of your show, but we go all the way down in this class. Just a really good set of females in terms of their makeup and their structure, and again in fleeces. And with that being said, maybe we don't have a perfect one out here, but boy, I like the parts that we have to play with. And the one we're going to start with, extremely extended, one that's really good in terms of the front end of her body, in terms of the way she lays her blades in up high. I think the one that just gets out and goes the best on the move as well. She stays wide. She really tracks really free and easy, and I really applaud her for that. That's something where I'm hard at, and I think that's where she excels. Now, would I like to change her coming out right behind her shoulder? Absolutely. I think that's her weak spot, and for me, I get very particular about that, but I don't think we have one that we can go ahead and contemplate using over her in this particular class. Coming to you here in second. Maybe this is the one that I get off to the side and think is a little more my kind. Again, really flashy, really good down her top. One that's got a beautiful fleece on her, and I contemplated trying to get her up there. But again, she's maybe not quite as perfect behind her shoulders as well. We set them into motion. She wants to get just a notch choppier on me compared to the class winner. That's what sorts them. Coming to you here in three. Love this female off the side. One that's given up some size and scale compared to those, shortens up a little bit compared to them. But boy, really a good handling fleece on this female. Love the handle to it. It's uniform. Just a really ideal kind of female with no real issues. Just doesn't have the power to go ahead and beat those two ahead. Then we come to you here in four. Again, a nice fleece on this ewe, one that's structurally sound enough. With that being said, doesn't have quite that extension up front, maybe not quite as clean at the lower end of its chest for me today compared to those three standing directly ahead, but a really nice kind of a ewe lamb. Round out the class, you love the stature and the stoutness of this female, one that's got the feature at the ground, one that balances up really well. With that, just not quite as true when we get to the low side of her side on fleece. She wants to get just a little more blasé, doesn't show me the same character. If we could change her, maybe we could change some things up. Great class, congratulations.
Placings on the natural colored show for our pair of ewe lambs. First place went to Tor Sorensen, Otterville, Missouri. Second place to Mike Minter, Pemberville, Ohio. Third to Hadley Paulus, Casstown, Ohio. 4, Sanja Connor, Asheville, Ohio. 5 to Harper Copeland, Lewistown, Ohio. And 6 to Terry Mendenhall, Loma Rica, California. Now showing best fleece, natural colored fine division best fleece. Pardon me, we have done best fleece. That winner is Terry Mendenhall with entry number 21113. And in this, we're ready for the flock class results. First place goes to Sanja Connor of Asheville, Ohio. Premier exhibitor for the fine division is Mike Minter of Pemberville, Ohio.
What a great class of young females here. Boy, the ewe lamb that we're going to lead off with, you get back and study her from the rear shot and see how cool and expressive she is in her design of her hip. Just pretty remarkable there. You get in behind her, and she just kind of goes ahead and wins this class for me. Gets out and moves really well, an elegant, good about her shoulder, and just a female that reads to have some youth, but still at this stage, she's going to present us and show us that she's going to have that depth and that capacity and that width to be a mature female. Love the hip on this female. Just a great spot to start. Congratulations. Really two similar sheep in second and third here. This sheep in second, you love her, how long-bodied and how expressive she is in her forerib. A sheep that has some width and some dimension up there. A sheep that's just super, super cool up through her front end. We get back and we put these sheep into motion. She might not hold herself together as well off that rear end as we do with our class winner. She wants to go ahead and get a little more restricted, a little tighter in her overall movement. And the same could be said for the sheep in three. Man, the sheep in three, when they get her stuck, she looks really good. Where I followed her, we put her in a motion. She just gets extremely restricted. She wants to get a little straight in her overall hip design. But again, a fleece that you get into, it has some depth, has some look. The crimp there's there, as far as front to rear. These exhibitors on this third place sheep really got her presented well and just really, really lustrous to it. I love that fleece. This ewe in four, when you get back and study her, you're thinking, well, she runs uphill, she's good hipped, she's good topped. Then you just kind of step back and you look at her, and I just need more depth and more expressive, especially through that forerib. I need to open the sheep up a little bit. I need her to match her top side as far as her depth side. That's kind of where I see balance. It's in three dimension, and it's a female that, as we work forward, she's always going to have that good hip and that good top. I just think we need to go ahead and expand her and give her a little more overall design right through that middle, but a nice one there. Congratulations. And then we're going to round out the top five with a sheep that just gets a little piecey for me. She's a little deeper through her front third, a sheep that wants to get a little more shallow about her flank, and definitely a sheep that when we work our way back, she is the most inconsistent in her fleece and in her overall look as her lock is the top five. But nice class. Congratulations.
Now showing in ring number 3, our medium-long course division of yearling rams for the natural colored. Placing on the natural colored intermediate ewe lamb class for the Lincolns. First place went to entry 80, Reed 2215 Topaz, Mindy Reed, Houstonia, Missouri. Second to entry 81, Reed 2214 Vogue, Mindy Reed, Houstonia, Missouri. Third to 85, Freeze Livestock, New Salem, North Dakota. 4 to 83, Luke Mumm, Whiteheath, Illinois. 5 to entry 84, Luke Mumm, Whiteheath, Illinois. 6 to 82, Addison Wetzel, Franklin Grove, Illinois. 7 to entry number 79, Addison Wetzel, Franklin Grove, Illinois. 8 to 87, Addison Wetzel, Franklin Grove, Illinois.
Well, again, this is the last time I'll be out here on the microphone for this evening on this breed. I appreciate the opportunity. Like we said earlier, it's been a lot of fun to go through these sheep and really get involved and just dig through. And this is my honest opinion. I can't give you any more than that. I'm not going to falter. Where I lay my priorities is where they go, and I try just to be true to myself out here, and this is how they come up to a lineup. Some of them certainly aren't my style, but you come out of those classes, and maybe that's the best one that has to come out, and that's how we end up with them. So with that being said, congratulations to all the exhibitors. I think it's just been a great show all the way down through here. And you go out here and you can certainly see, I want them sound, I want them functional, I want some bone work underneath these sheep, I want some dimension and rib shape as well, and really good fleeces. And you come out here and I think all these fit that bill. But today for me, there's just one out here that when you go through, there's just not a hole in her. You sit here and pick her apart, and she's stout-footed, she's extended, she's big-ribbed, she's long enough, and she's got a beautiful fleece. The young lady up to my right with the yearling ewe is going to be your champion. We're coming back and using the fall ewe lamb for reserve. Congratulations.
For our Romney show in the natural colored division, our champion ewe goes to the first place ewe in the yearling ewe class, entry 56. Thistledown 106. Thistledown, Ainsley Porter, Ashcombe, Illinois. The reserve champion was first in the fall ewe lamb class, entry 61. Winding Wicks 2126. Winding Wicks Farms, Teresa Romas, Chichester, New Hampshire. The results from the spring ewe lamb class for the natural colored Romneys first went to entry 73, Thistledown 214, Thistledown, Ainsley Porter, Ashcombe, Illinois. Second place to entry 71, Winding Wicks 2207, Winding Wicks Farms, Teresa Romas, Chichester, New Hampshire. Third place to entry number 74, David Peterson, Seaford, Delaware. 4 to entry number 69, Ethan and Caitlin Plank, Hillsdale, Michigan. 5 to entry 70, Jason Walensky, New Glarus, Wisconsin. 6 to entry 72, Ethan and Caitlin Plank, Hillsdale, Michigan. And 7 to entry 75, David Peterson, Seaford, Delaware.
Boy, we got a mixing pot of yearling rams here in the long course division. I think if you're looking for a buck to really coarsen up your fleeces, you've got one. I think if you're looking for a buck to elevate some of your sheep, we've got one. I think if you're looking for one that's thick and bold and you're trying to get some muscle behind them, we've got one. And that's the one I'm going to start the class off with today. I think when you get your hands on the buck in first here, the spotted buck, I think he just puts everything together for me. He's not the tallest. He's probably the longest hind-saddled buck, but he doesn't look like it because he's just so thick and massive. A very highly presented buck and a very pretty buck. Would like to clean up that front end just a little bit more to get that a little bit more elevation, but when you open up his fleece, it's very consistent from that shoulder to that midrib and all the way back to that bridge area. The buck in second, man, if you want extension, you're looking for a buck to really kind of blow up some of your ewes, this is the buck that you're for you. I'd like to consistently move his fleece from front to back, but I'd like to put a little bit more bone on him to compete up with the buck in first. The ram in third, you talk about a coarse, consistent fleece from front to back, man, he's got it. I just like to make him a little bit thicker, a little bit more denser to compete with the bucks in front. But a really nice set of bucks. Congratulations.
Placing on the medium division of our natural colored show, in the yearling ram class, first place to entry 55, Hard Whiskey 2062, Alexa Beeskid, Quaker City, Ohio. Second to 57, Minter Homestead 3059, Mike Minter, Pemberville, Ohio. Third to entry 56, Emily M. Anderson, Grant City, Missouri.
5 late spring ewe lambs out here, an absolute killer fleece to start this class. A ewe lamb you get into and just tremendous look and just tremendous crimp and just tremendous lock formation there. We get into it in outstanding fleece. We get behind this sheep. She's got the width we've been looking for all day, and then we stud her off the side, and she has that deep swoop and that soft side that we're also looking for. I just think a really nice spot to start. I think where she gets over the sheep in second, we get back inside her. She's just going to shorten up a nickel for us from that last rib back. Sheep, again, when you get back in behind her and you study her hip structure and how she's designed her, really level and really neat out through that pin set. Maybe a little more variation, if you will, top to bottom more for me than our class winner. But another really remarkably attractive fronted sheep, but one there we like to stand second. Another gorgeous place on the sheep in third. I just like how they look and how they get presented today. A sheep that we get back and study her again. Just kind of what we've been talking, the ewe lamb in the last class. And if we could get her out and put her back feet down a little stronger, get her to have a little more strong set to that hock, that would help us level her out and stay her truer out through that hip structure. I think that's really where she gets faulted to the two in front of her. But alongside a really youthful female, she's going to come back here and beat the door down as a yearling ewe for sure. That's a nice one in third. The sheep in four, another sheep we appreciate for her depth and her rib and her openness. We get back and study this one. We just need to present her a little better through that front third of her skeleton. We need to give her a little more angle, a little more up and out. To get out here and to really get showed off. But a female in her own right, I mean, if that's the direction and you want to go, then you go there. For me, when we get out here in the sawdust, we need to combine a lot of different things. And I think just the factor that we need to get her elevated and get her up out of that chest floor a little different, get her up any higher. And we'll round out the class with the shortest bodied sheep by far, and maybe the sheep that brings us a little more maturity as far as condition than we have in the class. But congratulations.
Placing on the Lincoln Natural Colored Junior Ewe Lamb class, first place goes to entry 91, Reed 2232, Sangria, Mindy Reed, Houstonia, Missouri. Second to entry 89, Reed 2217, Bihati, Mindy Reed, Houstonia, Missouri. Third to entry 88, Freeze Livestock, New Salem, North Dakota. 4 to 92, Deborah Vanderwind, Greenwood, Delaware. 5 to entry number 86, Robert Sando, Arcanum, Ohio. Placing on the natural colored Lincoln pair of ewe lamb class, first place goes to Mindy Reed, Houstonia, Missouri. Second to Freeze Livestock, New Salem, North Dakota. And third to Addison Wetzel, Franklin Grove, Illinois. Now we're ready to do champion and reserve champion Lincoln ewe.
really outstanding set of fall bucks. I think the one that we're going to start with, I think to me, is your flashy, your pretty, your show buck. I mean, he just walks in and he owns the ring. He knows it. And these girls do an outstanding job of getting him showed off. I mean, he's just, he's cool from that front end. He's really jacked fronted. He comes back. He's really thick from behind those shoulders. He's got a straight top. And then when you open up the fleece, it's really a fleece that's bold. It's lustrous. It's one that you really like to have on a buck like that makes you happy. The buck in second, I think I can move him up easily in that first place if I can widen his front chest a little bit, make him a little bit thicker from that shoulder back. But you talk about a long hip buck, a long loin buck. This is the kind of buck that's going to make really long females for you in the future. The buck in third is probably the most fault-free buck of the 5 we have in the class. He just isn't long enough to really compete with the front 2 bucks in front of him. Really like the style and the shape and the front side of this buck, but like I said, really need to extend him. My trouble buck for me is the buck in fourth. Love his growth pattern so far. Love the elevation of this buck. Really love the style of his fleece. I just got to get him to move around the ring a little bit cleaner on those back wheels. He just wants to get a little bit softer. The buck here in fifth just rounds out the class. He just has a little bit of a tough competition in front of him to get him any higher, but a nice buck in his own right. Congratulations.
Placing on the class of senior Ram Lambs for the medium division of our natural colored show. First place to entry 58. Hellbound, Pines Inn natural colored 21-50, Morgan Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. Second place to 59, Wolf 2203, Tor Sorensen, Otterville, Missouri. Third place to entry number 61, Pines Inn natural coloreds, Dylan Noner, Irwin, South Dakota. 4 to entry 60, Hadley Paulus, Castown, Ohio. 5 to entry 6, Arthur Nelson. And
That was a lot of fun sorting those black Lincolns tonight. You know, the quality is really good, and just, man, females that are great built, big hip, big topped, and then you get back and study them, they look like females and just well represented and presented to the 10th degree, and I really appreciate that from the exhibitors. I'll be honest, it really comes down to 3, but boy, there are so many different ways. You know, you sort these young females back from next year, and then you put them in a bag, and you see what's going to happen. But boy, I'm gonna stick with the pair that I put together early, and I think are awful good in their own right. So we'll go get your champion reserve, but I really appreciate all you exhibitors. Thank you.
for our Lincoln Natural Colored Show, our champion Yugo's first place yearling ewe, entry 66. Reed 21-12, Radiance, Mindy Reed, Houstonia, Missouri. Reserve champion was second in the yearling ewe class, entry 68. Freeze 21-032, Freeze Livestock, New Salem, North Dakota. For the natural colored Romneys in the flock class, first place went to Thistledown, Ainsley Porter, Ashcombe, Illinois. Second place to Winding Wicks Farms, Teresa Romas, Chichester, New Hampshire. Third to Ethan and Caitlin Plank, Hillsdale, Michigan, and they were also the winner of the Premier Exhibitor Award for the natural colored Romneys. 4 to Jason Walensky, New Glarus, Wisconsin.
There's only 2 bucks in this junior division of the medium and coarse buck show today. The one I'm going to start with is the most elevated buck, the most extended buck. He's also the thickest buck. When you get behind this ram, he really doesn't disappoint. He's round. He's got rib shape. He's got some density to him. You really appreciate about him. And when you open up his fleece, it's very consistent from front to back. It's got a lot of luster to it. It's got a lot of show to it. He kind of easily comes to the top. The buck in second, he's a little bit struggling trying to get in spot, but nice sheep. When you open up this fleece, it's very consistent. It's very dense. It's really nice to touch and nice to handle, but just can't compete with the buck in Furman when it comes to size and structure today. But congratulations on a nice set of bucks.
Placing on the medium division, junior Ram Lamb class, first place to entry 63. Armadillo, Kuykendall 1225, Catherine Kuykendall, Richland Center, Wisconsin. Second place to entry 16, Hey Dude, Arthur Nelson, South Shore, South Dakota. Best fleece for the natural colored Lincoln show goes to Mindy Reed, entry on 91, Reed 2232, Sangria.
Let's give these exhibitors a round of applause for the fine bucks they brought out in the champion drive today. I think there's some really exciting things that when we look at what this drive's brought to us, I think we've got some meat, muscle, we got density, we got some extension, and we've got some really cool fleeces. Stuff that really doesn't disappoint. Things that you can take home back to your flock and you know you're going to make some changes on. But to me, there's one buck that kind of just is a game changer for me, and I'll go out and shake that hand. It gets really tighter for me for a reserve. And I'll go out and pick that, but I think the difference for me is just the little bit length of body and the bone structure and the wheels underneath it. But I'll go shake hands for the champion, reserve champion ram.
Placing on the natural colored Lincoln Young Flock class, first place to Mindy Reed, Houstonia, Missouri. Second place to Freeze Livestock, New Salem, North Dakota. Now ready for the flock class. Placing on the flock class for the Natural Colored Lincoln Show, first place in the flock and also winner of the Premier Exhibitor Award is Mindy Reed of Houstonia, Missouri. Second in the flock, Freeze Livestock, New Salem, North Dakota. That does conclude our Lincoln Show.